Hi there, it's Bruce Wallace from Dundee and Victoria Chess Club in Bonnie, Scotland. Now the game I'm going to show you is between myself with the black pieces against Martin Chalmers in the Castlehill Club Championship in Dundee. I'm also a member of Castlehill and I've never beaten Martin in all the times I've played him, and he's 1647 and I'm 1329. So Martin has a significant grading difference and he is the stronger player. So let's have a look at the game and we'll have a look at one or two lines. Now Martin kicked off with e4 and I played the Sicilian, and then Martin plays c3. Now King Crusher, in a video earlier today on YouTube, looked at different lines against the Sicilian and mentioned quite a few, but he didn't mention the line that I was going to face tonight. But after I played c6, Martin played f4. Now this move means that white is launching a Grand Prix attack against black, and it's quite a popular line at club level, and I had lost against this line on numerous occasions. The usual line played against this is it with the move g6. White can continue knight f3, bishop g7, and usually bishop b5, with the idea of saddling black with double pawns after the bishop takes c6. So the knight usually moves, and white can just ignore this and castle, but there's different variations. But this is more or less the main line against the Grand Prix attack. So I've been doing my homework, and just briefly I would like to introduce the following book by Richard Palliser, Fighting the Anti-Sicilians, and it deals with combating all anti-Sicilian systems, for example the c3, the closed, the Mora gambit, the wing gambit, and other tricky ideas, and it has a whole chapter on fighting the Grand Prix attack, and it's an excellent book. So I studied the chapter, and Palliser says, why play g6 when most white players have developed ways of combating it, and play e6 and you have an entirely different game. So when Martin saw this, he plays bishop c4. I played knight gt7. Martin follows with knight f3, and I played d5 immediately, putting the question to white. Martin goes to b5 with the bishop, and I immediately kick it. So he takes a knight, I take back, and then Martin plays e5. Now this had been quite effective against me in lines when I played g7, but Palliser in his book says that this move has a poor reputation. Unfortunately he doesn't give examples of why it's poor, but I have to believe what he's saying because he is an expert on combating anti-Sicilian systems. So I just developed, and actually my analytical assistant says that this is in fact the best move. White then castles, and I then play b5. Probably not the best, but it is expanding on the king side considerably. White then plays d3. I develop my bishop on the long diagonal, eyeing white's king's position, and then white plays e3. I actually thought that white was playing rather insipidly against this opening. I castle, white plays bishop d2, and then I play f6. Now initially I was worried about the weakness on the e6 square, but in fact my assistant says that f6 is perfectly playable and a good move, and it's challenging to white. White continues queen e1, and this is a popular idea in the Grand Prix attack, which is more or less an all-out attack on black's king side. I then closed up the position on the king side with f4, and white played knight d1, and obviously his plan is to bring the knight to f2 and then come in on the king side. I played d4. Again, maybe not the best, but I think black is expanding well on the queen side and has a lot of space. Now here white makes a mistake with c3, and this in fact loses a pawn by force, and I just think it's an outright mistake. Pawn takes, bishop takes, and there's no way of saving the d pawn, which I take with the queen. So white plays knight f2, and then I play queen d8. However, I think a better move and more courageous is to go for the f pawn with queen c4. The queen could have gone to c2 as well, but nevertheless I think this is a better move. And a line perhaps out of this would be to save the f pawn, queen e3, and then black can cash in with the extra pawn on the queen side with b4, takes, bishop to here, knight takes, queen takes, and then rook here. And black's bishops are going to be a potent force bearing down on white's king side. And in such an open position, I think black with the pawn advantage is clearly better, and he's also better developed. However, I didn't. I moved the queen back to d8. White then hit the queen, and I moved queen c7. Now, a better move here, I think, was definitely queen b6, eyeing up the king should the knight move and threaten discovered checks. And also, once black plays c4, the bishop can come to c5, creating a powerful battery on the king's position. After queen c7, white began to move his pieces over to the king side. And here I thought, if I exchange off, because I'm a pawn up and I think my position is better, I've got good chances. So I moved rook a to d8, and then white brought his queen over to the king side. Rook takes, offering the other exchange, but white thought better of it. I played knight d4, bishop takes, pawn takes. Now I've got a passed pawn now, and if I can get bishops behind it, it could be dangerous. Now he plays knight h to g5, hitting the e-pawn. So I was worried about that, and here I think I played a bit of a wimpish move. I played bishop c8. However, I don't really have to necessarily defend this pawn. What I could play is d3, and now we've got a very interesting line. If knight takes, queen plays b6 check, knight f to d4, g6, queen e3, bishop c5, knight takes, queen takes, e6, queen takes, rook takes. Temporarily a piece up. Bishop c6 stops this pawn. Queens takes, rook takes, king here, rook back here, because now the d pawn is a monster, and rook takes f4, and black maintains, in fact, he's now 2 pawns up with a massive advantage, and he should win this endgame. However, I played the wimpish move, bishop c8, and now white plays queen h4. Now this knight is pinned after I play h6. White plays the queen here, and I wimp out again, because I definitely think the best move is pawn takes knight, and there's some very interesting moves around this situation, and if you look at the search engines, black in fact does win, but it's quite a hairy situation. So I take back with the bishop, pawn takes, queen goes to f7, and white accepts the exchange, king takes, pawn takes, pawn takes. Now really the d pawn cannot be held. Now even when you push it here, knight e1 hits it twice, I've only got one piece on it, so I decide to develop the bishop to b7, rook takes, bishop here, king f2, rook to the open file, rook to here, and we end with threefold repetition, and I secure a draw. Now I think I managed to get a draw there because I came out of the opening so well, and in fact I think I had definite winning chances if I had played more precise moves. So I was very pleased with that game, and once again I would recommend Richard Palliser's book on fighting the anti-Sicilians. It's a complete repertoire against all anti-Sicilian systems. So If you have a look through this, it will give you good moves against most of white's counters outside normal open Sicilian lines. So thanks for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the video. Bye!